Hey, Rack, I'm Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
This is a comic book review show where we take the books from the past week, recap them, review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then recommend comics that are coming out this week that we think that you should pick up. We're back to our usual Monday nights on East Coast time.
That's right.
Around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's right.
And we got a bunch of books. Last week we talked about Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
And we didn't talk about any comics. We did recommend a few, and I think we read a few that are up for debate today.
Yes.
I'm excited to talk about
books
them.
were read.
That's right. Books were read. So, of course, we're going to jump into the books before we get started. Of course, if you want to help us out, you can do so by using Super Chats. Ask a question or comment here on the show. Or if you want to help us out without any financial support whatsoever, you can do so by just simply liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Helps us out, helps the channel out, because we're looking for CPR to grow and blossom into something bigger and better than it ever was. It resembles like the old days of Comic Pop because of how many different types of videos come out on this channel.
Yes.
As opposed to Comic Pop on YouTube, which is just, it's the old faithful. It's our prime show. It's where Back Issues comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So let's get two empires going. Anyway,
Woo!
I keep hearing something.
Like what?
You hear it?
Yes.
Is it this?
Yes.
All right. I'm like, is there a machine or something running right now?
Well,
I don't know.
There has to be at least one.
Yeah.
And it is.
We also want to warn you that we're in the midst of a
random storm.
A storm.
There's thunder occasionally and wind and rain occasionally.
And so, as you probably are aware, this studio is old, and as a result, it is volatile, especially when it comes to inclement weather. So, if the show blips out, we apologize, and we'll be back.
But we will try not to.
Yeah. So, let's jump into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's talk a little bit about Moon Knight, because there's a special Moon Knight book that came out that has, I don't know if everybody's talking about it. I didn't hear anything about it, but the funny thing is, some things were happening with the Moon Knight book that we're about to discuss. That is to say, Moon Knight Black, White, and Blood, by three different creative teams, three very different ideas.
Yes.
But all Moon Knight or some variation thereof. We got Hickman, Guggenheim, and Ayodele writing their own depictions of Moon Knight. Three very different versions.
Yeah.
Or three different stories. Damn good cover, by the way.
It's Sienkiewicz.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
And Sienkiewicz does some incredible Moon Knight stuff and has been for 20 plus years. 30 maybe? I don't know. But
it's really great. I like it.
Love it. And but yeah, you've been the resident Moon Knight reader.
Yeah, I have.
So and from what I remember, the Jed MacKay run, nothing like that run at all. This is a completely different book, and I think it exists solely because there's a show on Disney Plus that just wrapped up.
Yeah, I would say that maybe the second one is closest, similar costume. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or at the very least, it evokes the MCU in a big bad way.
Oh no, I was gonna say to the Jed MacKay run.
Yes, okay.
There's something there. But yeah, I think that they listen. There's a show that came out. They're like, now's a chance to do that. But are some ideas mentioned from there? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
a little little hints to
right.
Some things.
A lot of there's one where a lot of Egyptian stuff comes up.
Right, which is fair. It's very tied to Moon Knight. But we don't always see too much of that in the books. It depends on who the writer is. So some of the stories definitely touch on that.
Yeah,
but they're all different Moon Knights.
Very, yeah,
seemingly.
Right.
The last one, I was like, I don't know, and then I had to read that one twice.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Right.
But I honestly enjoyed them all.
Yeah, I think they all had their own strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Hickman gave us the first Moon Knight story.
Yes.
God, yeah. So that one, new Moon Knight, new character.
It's Hickman and Bachalo.
Which I can imagine. I was reading it, and I'm like, Tiffany's gonna love this.
And I did. I enjoyed this quite a bit. There was a moment though where I was like, is this from the Empirical? Is this from Doctor Strange? Is this
right.
character? You know what I mean?
Probably.
I couldn't. No, I didn't really bother to look too much into it beyond that because I was just enjoying the book. Bachalo's art in this is very good. I think there's a couple of times where it gets a little difficult to tell what might be going on.
Big time.
And I think that really is just because his art, in my head at least, kind of lends itself more to color.
Yeah.
Now we have seen his work even in Doctor Strange where it was more
black and white.
Yeah, more
we've seen that.
Black and white. But for just certain panels.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not an entire story.
This art for me, like, it was solid. I really enjoyed it, but
It's what you come to expect from Botchlo today.
yes. But there was occasionally where I really had to like go back and be like, wait a minute, I need to try. I really want to understand what happens in these action panels here. It was a little dicey at times.
Agreed.
But I liked the overall look. I liked the weird Moon Knight design.
Yeah.
From what we could see of it, I liked the new character that was invented for this, I presume.
Yep.
And this like Stargatean space odyssey that they're on.
Yeah.
As soon as we saw like a pyramid in space, I was like,
Stargate. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Hickman's around our age. There's no way he wouldn't have been inspired by the show, if not the movie.
Well, I mean, it's just,
Plus, it's Moon Knight.
Well, I was gonna say, and there's already like, from Stargate. Where did that come from? Well, because the like, tinfoil hat.
Yes, pyramids are made by aliens. Kind of thing.
So it's really not a large leap, whether or not Stargate's involved with it or not. But it's a Hickman written story. It's even for like a few pages. It's still it's tight.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of character development, even in this small amount. Like you get their relationship, this little girl and Moon Knight, little girl who turns out to be a priestess of Khonshu.
Yep.
And he is her knight.
Right.
And he does not like her.
No.
It's a little tongue in cheek, but it was good.
Yeah. I think Hickman really like played with this one. Just enjoyed the space, and I think deliberately left things open and vague, and like maybe even didn't develop it. I imagine that every Hickman story has like a binder of context. This one, I feel like it was more like Batman Beyond, where it's like, well, we'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, here's some cool ideas, and like if I need to pay it off, I will. But if I don't, it's just this neat thing that exists.
Right. What did you think of the red balloon?
I thought I got it. At first, I was like, red balloon. You need the splash of red. They didn't know how else to incorporate it, so they went with the Nina song. But
or it.
Hey, but like at least two different pop culture references to there needing to be this red balloon attached to her.
Yeah, he puts it on her so he can locate her or keep an eye on her, presumably.
Yeah, it's a fun through line. I think it helps guide your eye through the Botchlo art, which is required.
Yeah, no, for sure. What did you think of the snowmen?
They were neat. This was very kind of like not esoteric. I hate to use that word all the time, but it is, because it was just like, what is happening? What's the context? When am I?
This is the one that throws you into the deep end.
It
the
really
other ones,
does.
like there's a tether.
Yeah.
Like you
know where or when you are, more or less.
And there's familiar characters at times. Like this one, Hickman was just like, ugh. But like he can handle it.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but
I trust him.
Yeah, and I at the end of the day, I get it.
Yeah, I agree.
So that was a good one. Anubis Rex by Hickman and Botchlo.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to So White Yet So Dark.
Yep.
Murewa.
Murewa.
There you go.
Ayodele
and Datun Akande.
Yep.
I really like kind of dig this style, and I really like the splash of red here.
It was a great idea. That was something that didn't even occur to me until like halfway through that story, where it was like, oh, we'll make Spider-Man the co-star of this story, and that'll be the red.
Yep.
Great idea, because it forces you to incorporate that red.
Yeah.
The thing that confused me was that it was the Far From Home suit. And I was just like, that is straight up the Far From Home suit. And I'm like, okay, so is it like an interpretive, like MCU kind of story? No, it's set in now. It is
set in now, and that's why this was the one that I was like, because this is clearly the Moon Knight suit from the Jed MacKay run,
right? Except like the Jed MacKay run incorporates multiple suits. So.
I'm gonna guess it was just a choice they decided to just.
And clearly, no. At some point or another, I was just like, well, obviously they just wanted to draw that.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man is one of those characters where it's like, it doesn't matter what they're wearing as long as it's some. If you have the eyes, the color, and the webs, you're good.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what the hell it is.
Right.
Or even then, doesn't matter, because you could do the black and white suit.
Right.
But like the overall story of like Spider-Man annoying Moon Knight into making him lend him his clothes for the Hellfire Gala.
Yeah.
Fun idea.
Not just his clothes; he wants the Mr. Knight suit.
Yes. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Which I was like, that's
interesting.
Funny.
Yeah. Are they? That's something where I was like, for a minute, I went like, are they the same size?
He'll make it work.
He'll make it work.
But like, and I was thinking about it. I was like, but why? And I'm like, oh, because he still wants to hide his identity.
Right. Yeah, because he's got to look good. Like he wants
to look good, but he can't. He's not going as Peter Parker.
He can't go as Peter Parker. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I haven't seen a formal Spider-Man in forever.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
This one, because of making Spider-Man the red accent for most of it, there are other little red accents here or there. But like it made it feel like less like it was black and white.
Yes. Yeah, it tricked your mind, especially because Moon Knight is black and white. Sometimes gold, but like in this case, it does. It is the most mainstream out of the three.
Yeah.
But also works in its own context. Like the coloring idea is it's one of those things where it's more like it was so well executed you didn't even you didn't even recognize the assignment.
Right.
You were just like, oh, I'm just reading a book. But then there's a couple moments where like the grays really stand out.
They do, yeah,
and make it so that they were playing with the with the space in a good way.
Yeah, there's a lot of action in this one. This one's just a fun, like, high flying adventure.
Yep.
You know, there's Egyptian gods and ghosts and chase scenes and fight sequences in this one.
Yeah.
There's just a lot going on, and not in a bad way.
No.
Moon Knight has at least 2 different costume changes, plus at least the jacket being held up from the Mr. Knight suit, and then we get one more accent of red character who pops in right at the end. Because we have a page at the beginning where the words like "so white yet so dark," Moon Knight are spoken earlier, and then they're spoken again. It's like a little echo. You know? But this time it's Deadpool.
Yeah, good use of Deadpool.
Yeah,
and fun. It was just a cute little moment,
little joke at the end.
I liked it.
Or like he wants to borrow the Mr. Knight suit now.
Yep.
Because,
forget it
because you heard Spider-Man. Got to
exactly.
So. It was I was like, okay, yeah.
Really, it was a great entry point, like good debut, because I'm not terribly familiar with Ayodele or Akande, and I'm like, hey, solid entry point.
Yes.
For me and for anyone who might not be familiar with their work.
Yeah.
And a great display of their skills, because it's like it's an assignment. It's not just like here's an issue, go for it. It's like here is part of an issue. It's a scaled down story. It has these restrictions in color and the like brevity of the storytelling. Nice job.
I agree. Then we come to The End by Mark Guggenheim and Jorge Fornes.
Yeah. I like Jorge Fornes' art in this. It's incredible.
I liked it.
Yeah. I think it looked great.
I liked. I obviously Botchlo was the one I really like. He was my favorite.
Yeah.
But
all strong artistic showings.
This issue, it's a backwards issue, guys.
Right.
If you're reading it, it's a backwards issue. It's called The End because that's what comes at the end of a story, the end. And it is completely backwards. It's not just the pages are backwards. The panels are, you read them when you're reading it from top to bottom to go back in time. But if you choose to read it forward again, which is what they recommend at the end via the quote,
right,
you need to read from bottom to top.
Yes.
So
if that eluded you,
yes,
you can get another crack at it.
Exactly. And you also need to read it, I think, right to left. I think. Yes.
Like truly backwards.
Yes, it's truly backwards if you want to read it in the correct order.
That's funny, because just to tie it back in with that Rorschach episode that we did, not just with Tom King, but also on back issues, but Fornes drew Rorschach, and Fornes and King did an entire issue of that run where it could be read, each page we read backwards, forwards, up, down, left, right, didn't matter. So Fornes is clearly like, I'm not done playing around.
He wants to play with that, yeah. That's really
like,
funny.
hey Guggenheim, you want to give me something? You want to write me like the backwards episode of Seinfeld?
Right, and that's funny that you say that, because the Hickman issue, Moon Knight says Herm like more than once.
I know.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
So this issue, this story in this issue is really about Moon Knight like using the Mr. Knight mission as a woman comes because she's supposed to testify in like a high profile mob case, and her police escort has been gunned down. So she's trying to get to the courthouse.
Yep.
And so Moon Knight's going to escort her. And it's just,
they have a high tech evil new character dispatched to attack her.
Yeah. Red Blade.
Thank you.
Red Blade. And there was another guy. I don't remember what his name was. It was like Forklift, but not. It wasn't Forklift. It was something, it doesn't matter. But yeah, they have to dispatch these superpowered individuals along the way, and in the end, Moon Knight is shot.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, is this the end?
Is this the end? And yeah, when I read the title, I thought, oh man, it's like a the end issue, where it's like the last Moon Knight story.
Yeah.
But no, it's just this could be in the continuity.
Yeah.
Like they could pay this off in the next issue.
Yeah, except that in the continuity of this
Of the
of the Black, White, and Blood. Sure.
No, yes,
or in Jed McKay's.
Jed McKay's.
But the costume's wrong.
I know.
So
Yeah, but they don't care.
I guess they don't.
It's Marvel. They
but
don't.
Needless to say, like I really enjoyed this. I thought all the stories were tight.
Yes.
You know, like sometimes you get like a weak one, but I thought they're all pretty good and they all have different tones. Like I said, one's gonna toss you into the deep end. One is just, fun.
Right.
And an adventure story, and the other one, it really challenges the way in which you perceive how stories are told in comics. So.
True. Pitch for Black, White, and Blood. I think I did this on Twitter. I'm going to talk about it now just to get it out there.
Okay.
Just to put it out into the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
We're getting a Predator book in July, which we should have gotten over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And if Marvel's like not sure what to do and they don't want to fuck it up like they did with Alien, what they could do is they could launch the Predator book or a Predator book, Predator Black, White, and Blood, change the color from red to green. So that's the accent color.
Okay.
And then you get 3 stories that are Predator versus the Marvel Universe. So it's 3 different stories with 3 different creative teams showcasing the Predator fighting a main titular superhero from Marvel. Sure. Maybe someone doesn't get a lot of play because the title character is Predator. But showcasing like, and then you have your own little mini DC round robin thing where you get to like go, oh, here's 3 different creative teams all basically pitching a Predator versus book.
Right.
Which ones are the most celebrated? So
will you be pitching your book on a ship basically? And the way you make this work is it's in space? No, you could do that, but I was gonna say you could set it when Kitty Pryde had the ship and she was part of the Marauders. Yes, Predator attacks the Marauders. You see where we're going with this. Yeah, and if you make it where it's just her, like for some reason the others aren't on board, you homage that Christmas issue. Yes. Oh, yeah. Retread of that Christmas issue. Yeah. That'd be amazing. Right? Yep, that's done. And I want to thank you for the chat for it's Bulldozer from the Wrecking Crew. Bulldozer from the Wrecking Crew. Although, Forklift just writes itself. I like Forklift better. Listen, my brain was like, it is a piece of machinery. Admittedly, a bulldozer, much more effective at destruction, though a forklift in the wrong hands. Yeah. It's not as bad. No. But whatever. Brian Rowland says, cancel whatever plans there were for Dark Crisis. The Jurassic League need to be the saviors of the crisis. Holy X titties. Or titles. Sorry. I wasn't sure if he was saying it. Please don't demonetize us. This upcoming week. Holy X titles. Yes. Yeah, I guess there were. Coming up this week. There's a few coming up this week. Yeah, this week, yes. Z-Berm, which did you think was a better Doctor Strange 1 or 2? It's tough. I guess Doctor Strange 1 was a little tighter. It was. It was at least cohesive. It felt like a cohesive entire movie. Yeah. Kesman 1993. I was perusing old ComicPop videos when I saw a tangent where a salesman interrupted a filming of back issues. Did he ever return like he said he would, or has anything like this ever happened since? No, it's never happened again. He's never returned. I think he got the message, but also we've never had it happen again. Fingers crossed if that remains to be seen. But I'm happy to say that he went away and we never saw him. And did not return to us. We didn't see him or the like of him ever again. I still really love that happened. I know. Hey, speaking of Doctor Strange 2 for a second, I just read, because there's a lot of stuff coming out about Doctor Strange 2 now. Sure. That in addition to the fact that Daniel Craig was originally targeted to be Reed Richards in the Doctor Strange 2 cameo, which what a terrible idea, was that reportedly a Deadpool cameo was teased and considered, but ultimately not carried out. And I don't know if I'd want that, or I think there's a part of me that's morbidly curious about that and how that kind of messes with stuff. Yeah. And also because Ryan Reynolds is just a charming Deadpool. Yeah. I don't know about that. I think for me, when I read it, I was like, that was a missed opportunity. I think that out of all of them, the most earned would be Deadpool, because who gives a shit? Because the Doctor Strange 2 movie is basically who gives a shit. Yeah. So it's but with Deadpool, it's that's the one to put in. That's the one that Deadpool versus the next Deadpool movie, Deadpool 3 or Deadpool Spider-Man, either of those movies makes bank. Yeah. And it's just putting Deadpool in, and especially if you're expecting Doctor Strange 2 to be a heavy lifter, in terms of
Marvel continuity,
then that's the one you bring in. You don't tease or confuse people with X-Men and Fantastic Four. You put Deadpool in there because not quite X-Men. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just,
without having to ruin any reveals or anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
I get it.
I
I
think
get
that's
it.
that's
Yeah.
that's just a missed opportunity. Ray Caterasano, Tiffany, thoughts on Charlize Theron as Clea?
I mean, I can't even guess, although knowing her, she's a pretty wide body of work. But
Yes.
like I automatically go based on the like second and a half that we saw of her to
Right.
some of her more action oriented stuff. And like I think I'm interested to see a Clea of that nature. Typically when I think of Clea, it's less physical and more magic based, being that she's her own like sorcerer supreme of the dark dimension.
Yeah.
So to see her seemingly more boots on the ground, like in the fray, listen, I think Theron's a great actress, so
Agreed.
I'm willing to be like, let it go about what I think Clea should be like, and just see what she's gonna do with the character.
Yeah.
Although I would like to see us like the shorter haircut.
Yeah.
That is a stupid thing, and it's not gonna make or break the character. It's just I wish.
Yeah. Well, Cat Larry wants to know if you'll be playing Ghostwire. Magic and Ghosts. It's
Yes.
perfect for you. Love your streams over on
Aw,
twitch.tv/ComicPop.
Thank you.
Never catch you live. Are any games you're excited for?
So yeah, okay, so yes, that actually was almost gonna like edge out Elden Ring initially, but then when I started like hearing people talk about it and reviewing it, I couldn't justify the price tag for it. But my understanding is this, the developer who made that game, who made Ghostwire, they had another game that they made. Name's not coming to me, but they made a sequel to it and improved on it. Like the first game had faults, they were able to make a sequel. They were able to clean it up, tighten it up, and it was a much better version of that first game,
Cool.
basically. So my understanding is Ghostwire, it's got a little bit of repetition. Once you figure out certain things, it's kind of like whatever. But I do want to play it because it's very faithful in terms of like being in Japan in this specific area that like it just looks phenomenal. The ghost element I'm obviously interested in. The magic element I'm very interested in. I was like the price tag. I was like,
That's fair.
So I do want to play that. Games that I'm excited for. I just found out they made an Evil Dead game, so I really want to check that out. And I'm excited for Stray. It's like a game that's coming out in 2022 where you play a stray cat.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I do want to play that for sure. And I just saw that they're making some Pinocchio, like Elden Ring or like, Bloodborne-esque game where like you lying changes the end of the story.
Oh
I don't know.
God.
And also Stanley Parable just got remastered. So
That's right.
Anyway.
And
the Batman game.
Right, and the Batman game.
The Knights, Gotham Knights.
Oh yeah. I heard bad things, but we'll see.
I'm still gonna play it. I'm still gonna like that one. I will justify the cost for, so we can all play together and hang out and have fun.
So the Justice League turned into dinosaurs in Jurassic League #1. The writer and artist was Juan Guederan, and it's written with Daniel Warren Johnson, who is a celebrated creator that we love on this show.
I thought I don't know what
he did not draw it. Daniel Warren Johnson drew the cover, but not the interiors. I was when I opened it up, I was like, "That ain't D-Dubs. That's Gideon." I'm sorry, Gideon. But I will say that it was good. Like the art was good. It wasn't like, it wasn't a pure bait and switch, where the art does reflect the tone that you'd expect from like a Daniel Warren Johnson type story.
Right.
I didn't really care about this idea. Like, I was not one of those people who was like, dinosaurs in the Justice League? Count me in. Like, you had me at dinosaurs.
I mean,
like, I like dinosaurs.
You had me at I was going to at least read one issue.
Exactly. And I did. And that was that.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I'll be honest. Like, this didn't. Okay. So, I've read several of Johnson's works.
Yes.
And so I guess I don't know why I was expecting something more subversive.
Extremity, Murder Falcon, Dead Earth.
Yeah.
Like
Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill. There's, yeah.
I think I was expecting something else other than what the title is, which is, I guess, on me. That is on me, 100%. The title is just Jurassic League, and it's touted as the Jurassic, like, dinosaurs, but it's
the Justice League. It's like that He-Man book. Remember Age of Heroes or whatever the hell it was called?
It wasn't called that, but yes, like that, where it was just He-Man, but it was
He-Man, but DC.
But it was DC.
And it's like, I don't know what you were expecting.
That is what I was expecting for that. But like, I don't know what I got in my head that this was going to be, but I was like, oh no, this is just very straightforward.
Yeah.
Very straightforward, very confusing world.
Yes.
And like, you really need to turn your brain off a bit.
You do, and yet you also need to be actively reading the book.
No,
there's so much. Like, there's a lot of words in this book.
Yeah. Well, I just
For it being,
I thought it was a fast read.
I did not.
I thought it was a fast read, and most of my time was spent being like, wait a minute, there's like dinosaurs that are people, but then there's regular dinosaurs,
Yes.
and there's people.
Yes. And that really, that annoyed
And
the
I was
shit
like,
out
you
of
know
me.
what? Like, this is not our history. It's fine.
Right.
Like, and
there
like
was,
dolphins look like dolphins. And I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know if they
Did? I don't know.
Were
but
they even here?
my problem is just like that there's people who actually believe that dinosaurs and people like existed in the same time, and they didn't. I mean, there are some dinosaurs that like didn't exist within the same million-year span, and it's like frustrating when people just deliberately like pollute the conversation.
No, you can't put that on
But
this book.
when this, no, that's the thing is like the justice. There's like a dinosaur Batman,
Yeah, but why is he a bat?
right?
But like, whatever.
Well, because Barbados or something. They don't say that, but like that's the thing is it is a mixed. There's a lot going on in this.
There's a lot going on
in this very simple premise or
Yes.
seemingly simple premise.
But the fact is, it's like, you know what? Like, typically, this is like there are things that are in here that I would definitely give other books a hard time about.
Mm-hmm.
This gets a pass because it's because of what the premise is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think this is going to. I mean, maybe it will, but I don't think that in the last issue it's going to be like, oh my gosh, what a crazy wild ride. This is not at all where this book started. I can't believe the depth it had. I think it's just going to be like, dude, do you like dinosaurs?
Right, then you're going to love this.
Do you like versions of things that you like? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but changed. Yeah.
Because I often do like that. This one just didn't catch me, but like there is something about that sometimes I really appreciate. You know, you've got Dark Knights of Steel. There's something like about that, like
yes.
That I'm like, oh man, 1602. Like
right. That's basically what the Elseworlds premise is.
Yeah, but like, and so there is something there for me. This one, I don't know. It just didn't grab me.
No, and I think it's just for me, it's because I don't necessarily care a lot about dinosaurs. I appreciate dinosaurs, but I don't love them the same way that I love other things. You know, like as a kid, I liked dinosaurs, but I wasn't a dinosaur kid. You know,
right.
Like when Jurassic Park came out, it wasn't like the second coming for me.
You wanted to go to Field Station Dinosaur.
Yeah, well, that's because some lunatic built animatronic dinosaurs and just put them in a field like I was supposed to show up. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm definitely going to show up. I got to see this. I guess this monument to like stupidity. And then like to see it all like, and you see people being paid and like if they don't work at Field Station Dinosaurs, like they get kicked out of their apartments. Like there's something about that it's just, you have to see it to believe it. So go to Field Station Dinosaurs in Bergen County, New Jersey. There is a comic book store nearby, so you won't be wasting the trip.
There is one. It's like right down the road.
And there's a free bathroom in that park, so you don't have to you can just go direct. You know? But it's very expensive.
What is that?
For it being terrible.
What it is. It's not terrible.
It's not great.
It's not great. But anyway,
but Jurassic League, that's the thing is I think for me at the end of the day, this book is not for me, but I'm glad it exists.
Yeah, and it's a limited series, so
I'm glad there are fewer issues of this than Supergirl.
Yes.
And they weren't like, okay, well, we don't think anybody's gonna buy Supergirl, so we'll give you 8 issues. But we don't. But we think people will buy dinosaurs. We'll give it 12 issues.
Right. But like, if you have fun with it, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. You have fun with
do
it.
not feel bad about enjoying Jurassic League.
It's silly, and I think that's all it's meant to be. And I think that's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
And I don't know if Mike Spicer colored it, but it looked like he did. And I think because Mike Spicer is D-Dubs' like colorist,
okay.
And those two are, you know, like peanut butter and jelly, and they're supposed to work together. Like I saw Mike Spicer's name listed in the credits, but I don't know if it's because it was D-Dubs' cover or if it was because he did the interiors. But like it gives it that Daniel Warren Johnson feel that you're looking for in the interiors. Like it's still loose and it's still fun and it's still like raw. It's just not the exact same experience. But yeah, just because it didn't grab me doesn't mean it won't grab you. So check it out.
That's exactly accurate.
Israel Hans says, have you guys listened to the Spotify Batman audio play? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? No, I have not, but I have heard of it. And I got a lot of like the marketing for it's working really well because I've seen it everywhere. And I don't care. Like, I'm not going to listen to an audio podcast about Batman.
I love that it's working really well. I have seen
You've seen nothing?
Super chat is the first I've heard of this.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's not.
Okay. Well, then it's not.
I don't think you know what it is. I always keep all my targeted ads off, but like it wouldn't matter.
No, it's true.
My brain just randomly looks up things, or like I'm interested in things week to week. So it's like they don't know.
No,
they don't know. It's okay. Keep them guessing.
That's true. Eddie Coulter, thoughts on Marvel apparently losing the Conan comic license? Seems like it came out of nowhere.
It's funny. I thought we heard some rumblings early on, like a few months ago, about this, and I was really trying to ignore it in terms of like, just if I put my fingers in my ears, it wouldn't go away, and like we wouldn't lose it here. My thoughts on it. I'm sure whoever grabs it is gonna do some great Conan stuff, but I am sad that probably Jason Aaron won't be writing them any longer. There is something about having, I'm sure for like true Conan fans, they weren't pleased with the stuff that was coming out, but there is something about having the cachet of a larger comic book company behind it that like maybe more eyes will get on it.
Yeah.
And writing some stories that are, a little more contained so that like it's approachable and maybe it gets more people into wanting to read Conan. But we'll see. We'll see what's to come. But I'm gonna just, enjoy the rest of King Conan until it's wrapped up.
Yeah, which is 6 issues.
Yes, which I did read.
I did read Jim Zub, who had written a longer run on Conan in between the Aaron runs, had stated on his Facebook that he had plans for like a 2-year run on Conan. So
was he Tom King?
Right. But basically, who knows what'll happen? He doesn't know any more than the rest of us. So I think it was very sudden, is my point.
Right.
And so yeah, I don't know why, but I know that like the owner of the license can do whatever they want with it, and like chose to,
Move it.
as opposed to being like, just trying to play fast and loose. I think they just were like, I'm doing this now because I can. I think that's really what it was.
Ugh, that sucks.
I know.
That sucks. That's a shame. I really enjoyed it, and
sorry.
I was gonna say, and I'm really glad that like Conan not only got to have his own book, several books, but then was also part of other random Marvel teams for a little bit. There's a small window of time where Conan was hanging out with like
the Savage Avengers.
Yeah,
there's a rumor that he might be allowed to stay on just that.
Okay.
That
as long as you're not producing a book that's just Conan, he can hang out there. Because like Conan, dealt with Doctor Strange for a little bit, and like because they have a little crossover there with some of their villains.
Yeah,
so
they did work out a deal where Marvel will continue to publish and reprint. They have the rights to reprint and publish like the trades and the hardcovers of the prior run. Like they can release what Marvel got the licenses to print, like the Dark Horse stuff and everything. They can continue to publish Conan books that have already been made. They can't make new ones called Conan. But maybe Conan can also be on the Savage Avengers too, but they can't have a Conan book.
Right.
I also didn't see that like Dark Horse got it back. I thought it was like some indie publisher that I never heard of. So we might see it come back a lot faster than we thought.
Yeah, but I've enjoyed it, and I think in my opinion, we got more than I thought we would get.
Right.
And so I'm not mad.
Yeah. So yeah, the Telphonics say my partner started reading Tom King's Supergirl and loves it. I've been trying to find a jumping on point for Spider-Man. I started back to basics. Thoughts? You may want. I mean, like, listen. The reality is with Spider-Man, and he's a 60-year-old character. You can jump anywhere. It depends on what your like tastes are and what your interests are for Spider-Man. Do you want a younger Spider-Man? Then read Ultimate Spider-Man. You want a younger in continuity Spider-Man? Then read the Kurt Busiek Untold Tales of Spider-Man series. You want like old single Spider-Man, like older feeling 80s stuff, then you should read the Roger Stern run with like Hobgoblin and Black Cat and stuff. If you want like Team Spider-Man, I would highly recommend the JMS run on Spider-Man, because it's not only just an adult Spider-Man who like is married and has like a very small supporting cast, but it's during the Bendis era and he joins the new Avengers and there's a lot of stuff there. So there, Spider-Man can be anywhere. What I wouldn't recommend to jump on is any run over the last like 10 years. Like there's nothing within this. There's no Spencer. There's no point in the Spencer run for you to jump on and go, oh, cool.
Well, I would say that like really, it's just that you're not going to get your footing there.
No,
because things will change so rapidly.
Yes, and they're going to refer to things that happened like 100 years ago, and you're going to be like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's no good for you. And the Telphonics also go on to say, Magic recommendations, Strange, Zatanna, Constantine. Where should I start, Mr. Miracle? Keep the lights on. Love back issues. Thanks.
There's a question there. Sorry.
I don't know anything about Zatanna. Like, I know
I thought-
Zatanna, but I don't know any runs that I would recommend for
I don't
her.
really either. I'll be honest with you.
DC's done a really like lousy job of like she
has one run that I've almost picked up a couple of times.
Yeah?
It's a small mini series and everybody hates it, so I want to read it.
Oh.
It's like maybe 4 issues.
Cool.
There was like
That's
a time where they were trying something new with her and like people don't like it at all. And I was like, I gotta check this out.
yeah.
That's
Give it to Paul Dini.
kind of stuff that I like to read. I don't know. Constantine, I just started.
Just go with the yeah.
Well, okay,
not the Ennis one. Who's the other guy?
With Delano.
Jamie Delano.
You can start with Delano, just right at the beginning.
That's called Hellblazer, though.
Yes, it is called Hellblazer. So you're gonna want to start there. Or if you're like, I want to kind of skip ahead, you can.
I don't really like 80s books. Don't appeal to me.
You can start with Ennis, who's like closer.
Well, no, you could.
But you'll also be. I was gonna say you can start with Ennis because you will. If you know him from other things, you'll recognize a lot of.
You go, oh, that's the thing.
Yeah, between the first volume from Delano and the Ennis, like you'll get a lot of like of John.
Yeah.
But you could also pick up the Cy Spurrier run.
Yes, which is also called Hellblazer.
Yes, that came out a couple of years ago.
2 years ago, I think there's 2 volumes of that book.
It's very in tune with the original, like the Delano series, the Ennis series, all of those earlier creators. It is in line with those creators.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get John the Bastard there,
right?
But in a more modern setting, and you only have to worry about 2 volumes. So if you just want to get your feet wet a little bit, you can go there. I think you'll be fairly comfortable. He does, like, Spurrier does a really good job of making sure everybody's on board.
Yeah, and if your partner likes Supergirl, then you should just read the Tom King's Mr. Miracle book, because that's probably going to be a great entry point. The other thing you might want to read is just Jack Kirby's New Gods. That'll have Mr. Miracle, but it'll also introduce you to that world if you find that world fascinating and don't want the like subversive darker take on Jack Kirby's own creation. So Tiffany, you read King Conan number 4.
I did read King Conan number 4. So it means we have 2 more issues after this. What has this book been talking about? I feel like we haven't had an issue in a while, and I'm wondering now if we haven't had an issue in a while because
of the rights issue, where they were like, fuck, and they went back and like maybe had to retool and
I don't
condense.
know, or they were just holding off trying to figure out what was.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? Like, you know, inside baseball, we know damn well that there was supposed to be a Predator book that came out like 2 years ago, but it didn't, because Disney got sued by the original writers of the first Predator movie. And so the rights were in question. And when I say question, I mean in the pop culture zeitgeist, but not probably legally speaking, because Disney's like not going to let that happen. And they didn't. But it took 2 years for them to wrap it up and then release that Predator book from 2 years ago in July, like it was always going to come out 2 years after they announced it. And now I'm seeing those variant covers, by the way, and they're like, people are referring to them like at me, where they're like, whoa, have you seen these variant covers? I'm like, yeah, 2 years ago.
Well, it's still nice that they're doing it.
I know, but it's confusing people because now they're thinking that those are books. Like somebody legitimately thought that it was going to be like a Miles versus Predator book, and they're like, and I'm like, that's not happening.
No, okay, yeah.
But since that happened, that sounds like that might have happened to Conan.
Maybe, because again, we don't really know, so it's just tossing ideas out there. I'm wondering if once they found out that the rights were going to move, if like legal didn't want to take a look at the fact that it's like, if we publish the rest of these, we'll have the rights to publish them again if we want to. Right. Like we need to make sure that like we're gonna finish this off here.
Yeah, well, and we can still make our trade money.
Or like Asrar needed more time.
Right.
I don't know. It could be as simple as that. This is written by Jason Aaron with art by Mahmoud Asrar. And what has this book been about? Well, if you followed the Conan series before that Aaron wrote, you know, it was the story of Conan in his past, and like, you know, at one point or other in the like ongoing story of like Conan dealing with the Crimson Witch, we got a flash forward to King Conan.
Yes.
Old man King Conan, right? That's such a beautiful story. That lion. Oh, such a beautiful story. But Aaron was like, I want to write King Conan. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with Conan, the king. Conan who has settled down, but like he can't.
Right.
He can't settle down. He's Conan.
No.
Right? He's got the wanderlust. Wanderlust.
Yeah, wanderlust.
Vowels are hard, everybody. But he has a son.
Yes.
Conan 2.
Yeah, and he's not quite as adventurous and awesome as his predecessor.
No. He's awesome in his own way though. And in previous issues, Conan basically, you know, we've been dealing, because it's Aaron, so we're going to deal with 2 different stories simultaneously. It's Conan actually like in the future, dealing on this island, dealing with Amontoth.
Yes.
And this just crazy wild island just trying to survive it with him essentially. And then the flashback to he and his son and how he's like banishing his son.
Yes,
he's
so
like,
that
you have to go out there.
He needs to
You
do
have
his walkabout.
You
You
have to
gotta
earn
you gotta
this kingdom.
Right.
You have to do that. And this is the issue where we see his son go back at him. And it's funny because it's like, you know, it starts off, it's the two of them, they're talking, right? It's solid. And then we cut to the island sequence for a while and it's great. And then we cut back to the two of them. And I was just so like into the writing of this issue.
Yeah.
Like, it was so excellent. Aaron really encapsulated what it must be like to have Conan as a father.
Right.
And it's spectacular. It's so well done. And, you know, they're having a battle of words and also of swords simultaneously. It's just a gorgeous sequence. I don't want to ruin it for you. But I highly enjoyed it. It immediately, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next issue. Of course, now knowing there's only 2 more left.
It's even more hastened.
It is, but like I'll be honest, like I am so glad that he got the opportunity to write King Conan.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we didn't lose the rights before this book came out, because that would have been horrible to hear like, oh, I wanted to do this.
Well, you knew it was gonna. He had already teased King Conan.
I know.
There were allusions to it within his own Conan book.
Yep, he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm so grateful that we got it. I'd love to know if he had any others he wanted to do.
I'm sure there were.
But
because as I understand it, Jason Aaron is a huge Conan fan.
He's a big Conan fan.
But there's like at least 3 of those people in the Marvel bullpen who are just like, please give me Conan.
They just love Conan. And I think that is so charming.
Yeah.
I think that is so charming that they have the opportunity to write like Spider-Man and Iron Man and all these like big name heroes.
Yep.
And they're like,
I want Conan. Right?
That's my guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're not reading it, listen, I don't know what's going to convince you. It's just good writing. It's good storytelling. Even if you don't care about Conan, trust me, this issue, by the end of it, it's really about fathers and sons.
At the end of the day, that's really what it's all about.
I knew that was coming. That's why I made sure to not say the other thing.
family.
I did not say that. I meant
no, fathers and sons. Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
Right.
So
pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of picking things up, this isn't really a review so much as it is just an awareness campaign. But if you haven't already heard, Chip Zdarsky's writing Batman. But before that, he wrote this book that has been coming out called Batman the Knight. And this compendium edition came out last week. So it collects the first 3 issues and for a little bit of a discount.
For a pretty significant discount.
Right?
If you weren't picking this up, like I think it's $8, you get the 3 issues.
Yes, it's 96 pages of the last 3 issues of this book. It's really fun. It's really well written. It's Chip Zdarsky, Carmine Di Giandomenico. The art's it's fantastic, and I think it'll be a nice insight into the Batman you're going to get in his upcoming ongoing run. So people are always looking for like what matters. You might want to read The Knight, because this will basically be like Zdarsky's year 1.
Yeah, but I love that they did that. I think that's so smart.
I agree.
I want to talk about something else really quick. I know you want
to. No, please.
I knew you were going to jump someplace else, but I just want to slip this one in.
You should.
I don't really go into depth on these because I know it's not really what you're here for, but I still want to bring it up.
Yeah, well, you know what? Eat your vegetables, because independent comics are really important. It's where the creative team comes from.
It's so funny because it's like, anyone else would say this is not an independent comic. And I'm like, you know what, though it is.
I mean, look at that cover.
Published by DC.
Right.
And it is Black Label. Oh, it's DC Black Label, the Sandman universe. It's Nightmare Country 2. I love this cover.
It's incredible. I didn't even notice until like you were starting to take it out, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Such a good cover. I love this cover. It's written by James Tynion IV, with art by, I know the last name, but I want to get the first name too. Alessandro Esterin, and Andrea Sorrentino as a guest artist, which is like, you can't just drop Andrea Sorrentino in here and like just be like, act like it's nothing. It's spectacular. The blend of art works perfectly. This isn't an instance where there's sub art, you know what I mean? Like, where it's like, oh no, we couldn't finish the book. It's an intentional moment.
It's like a guest artist.
Yeah, it's an intentional moment to like be like, oh, we're someplace else. They did it in the first issue as well. This is the book that like Tynion was like, if I was ever going to go back to writing DC,
it would be this.
It would be this. I want to write the Sandman universe. And so he was given this book, Nightmare Country, which focuses on the character, the Corinthian,
right,
from Sandman. If you know Sandman, you know the Corinthian. So if you're interested in him and getting a little more story about the Corinthian, definitely check this out. I liked this issue a lot better than the first one.
I noticed you were
issue.
kind of not so hot on the first issue.
The first issue was like, we were getting our feet wet. It's like, what's Tynan's voice for this universe? Like, how much of an homage are we paying? He has these two characters. He's like, he created two new characters, which we've accused Tynan of doing quite a bit. However, those two characters are named after two other characters
who are in the same universe.
Who are like at least in the Lucifer universe.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is happening? But this issue was it was such a great read. I felt like I burned through it, even though it was really well paced, just because I couldn't wait. I just wanted to know more about it. Another well-loved Sandman character shows up in this. It's Lucian. I don't need to hide it from you. It's Lucian, so he gets to show up here. We talk about the library again. I freaking love when anyone talks about the library. It's just such a delight to hear writers talk about it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, in the Dreaming, which is the realm of the Sandman, there's a library there, but it's not a library of written works. Like, they're books, but it's a library of all the books that were never written.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I love to hear a writer's take on that, because like, I'm sure they all have those, the books they know they're never going to write.
Yeah.
But it's not just for them. It's for all of us.
Yes.
The idea here is we all have books we've never written. And so like, Tynan's like, all your books are here. The ones you half imagined in your shower one morning before work. Many of the works that, you've dreamed about, that kind of thing. And I'm like, it's so incredible.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. There's something about that. It gets me every time. Like,
yeah.
It's so cool. I like to think my books are there.
No doubt. They better be somewhere.
So I'm pretty high on this book right now.
Yeah.
Because issue 2, like, I was like, I'm in. I don't know where this is going, but I'm in.
I don't even know how many issues it's going to be.
I don't know either. And that's okay. I kind of don't want to know.
Right.
I'm sure I'll find out.
No doubt.
I kind of don't want to know, just because it's easier to like not try to think ahead of how the story should go.
Right, like, oh no, we're at the like third to last issue, so
something's
things have
happen.
to, yeah.
So
that's great.
Really digging it. Tynan, he's a good writer. Even if he made too many characters in another book by DC, guy's still a solid writer.
Yeah, no, it's undeniable. That's not, yeah. My criticisms were never about the man's talent. It was only about.
And I know that, like, technically, like, his protagonist, he had to make up a new character, but it makes sense.
It's earned within the context of the story. It's not just, here's the most high-profile comic book being published by the Big Two, and now I'm going to create, which is also like desperately seeking a multimedia like approach.
Yeah, and I like to think, though, as much as like for most of us, it's like to add to the mythos and zeitgeist of Batman is like would be an incredible undertaking, right?
Yeah.
To just know that you had your mark on it. I think for a lot of creators, not a lot, but for some creators,
Sandman,
adding to Neil Gaiman's like opus, is like an incredible opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
that's a bucket list item right there.
Yeah.
Young Goku over 9,000. Crazy idea. John Kent was aged up by Bendis and robbed of Super Sons. Why don't we just age up Damian and say F it? I feel like we're missing something without them interacting at an equalish level and age. The Super Sons thing, it hits so hard and so quickly and so out of left field that like it has dwarfed a lot of what you would expect of their individual stories, I think, a little bit, or the very least from the online discourse. Like it's loudly proclaimed from fans that they'd rather have that than any individual story of those two characters. That said, I've heard a rumor that they are aging up Damian.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think he's been a kid for too long. He's been a kid for like a creepy amount of time.
Yeah, they've done it all. I think at this point they've done it. Like we're done.
And like, I know, listen, characters don't age up in comics. It's more noticeable when they're children.
Yes. The other thing is, I think that the DC, whatever the modern today equivalent of the DC bullpen is, because I don't think that exists, I think that the discussion about what they were able to achieve with John, whether it's equality or representation or whatever, just the idea of John, like the fact that they ruined Spider-Man just because they needed to, they because of how delectable the concept was of Spider-Man being in a love triangle again, which he hasn't been in 20 years. Despite the, you know what I mean? Like they've done it and they still never have done the love triangle yet. Like go figure. But Damian being in love, like it was teased a little bit in Josh Williamson's Robin run, where like Damian has a girlfriend, and like they actually do a moment where, bless you, where Damian tells Batman he has a girlfriend, And it's like Batman's reaction, it makes him sloppy and he screws up. It's really fun.
Yeah.
But like Damian dating
Yeah.
is a thing that you can only really do if you age him up.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Farr, what has been your favorite moment from Hickman's X-Men run? My favorite was when Wolverine and Nightcrawler teleport in space. Their talk feels very genuine. Yeah, I mean, like, it's hard to say anything outside of what they've already done. Like the Hawks and Pox stuff, like there are so many really dope ass huge moments.
Mm-hmm.
I do love that, like the moments in Ten of Swords where like, you know, where the aliens come dropping down, or where Apocalypse kneels, or, you know, like, just there are a few key moments in the Hickman.
I mean, Ten of Swords has so many, because it's funny. My moment was when Betsy returns with the Captain Britain Corps, and it's her, and that face. Also, at the very end of that, Saturnine sitting there
by herself.
Yes,
it's great.
Like having like one, but not one at all. Like that book's so solid for those moments.
Yeah. Benjamin Loudly says Thor vs. Hulk was surprisingly a good short read. Art was on point. Banner of War sucks as a title, though, and just a too punny. Smashtronaut design and concept still not clicking with me. The Smashtronaut sign is not that Smashtronaut design is not meant to be cool, and it's not meant to be like, it's just, there have been a million Hulks. There's been a million runs. Everyone's done everything. There's no, like, nothing. There's no, I believe, as a not Hulk fan, there's nothing you can do with the Hulk that is new. And so when you are like lining up all these different Hulks, Smashed or not, the only reason to do it is because it's different. Like, it is a different silhouette. You're doing something else with the Hulk. Like, you can never forget that there was an era where Hulk looked like that, and he did that. I'm not wild about the idea, but I will say I read all 6 issues of Hulk, and I enjoyed them, despite the fact that it's also like popcorn dumb. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I enjoyed it. Banner of War, I thought that was actually kind of fun, but it's a Hulk book. You know, I'm or at least it's a Hulk Thor book, and both of them are, I don't really consider them, you know, despite the fact that like the Ewing run and Thor's just in his DNA, there's like this Shakespearean hoity-toityness about him. I mean, when I think of Thor, I think of Ribic. So it's like, I think of these highbrow concepts of both those characters, but when I look at them, I'm like, they're both dumb monsters that punch people with huge muscles. Like, I don't really think about it that hard. So I think Banner of War, I'm like, nah, go for it. Especially because of what happens in Thor versus Hulk. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Matthew Terlaga, I don't understand why Spider-Man is even going to the Hellfire Gala. Marvel has gone out of their way to demonstrate that 98% of the X-Men hate him, so why was he invited? He's invited because he's the most popular Marvel character ever created. But also because, like...
And presumably there's something up with Mary Jane, so...
Zeb Wells is what's up. That's the thing. Yeah. Zeb Wells was writing Hellfire, or what was it? Hellions.
Yeah.
Zeb Wells was a member of the X-Men group.
Yep.
He left and joined Spider-Man. But he's still friends with and worked with all those people, and I'll bet he had plans before Hickman left that were in development or part of the patchwork. And he's like, I can't, if I extricate myself from the X offices entirely, it'll be harder to get back in. So now, how about X-Men and Spider-Man are hugely popular? The only major crossover, I mean, like, there are 3 or 4, but like in that, the one everyone talks about in that Spider-Man 90s cartoon is the one where they cross over the X-Men and Spider-Man. Like, X-Men and Spider-Man make sense. They make money.
Yeah.
That's why he's in the Hellfire Gala. Also, he wasn't at the last one.
No, he was not.
So now he will be. Unfortunately, he will be a goofy dumbass.
Oh, I'm sure.
Ray Farr, what was your first exposure to Doctor Strange, and what made you such a fan? His level in Marvel Ultimate Alliance got me hooked. Great game for nerds.
1602.
Yeah.
I can mark it right there.
Yeah. And I know how much you liked
that's literally
that game too.
Oh, I did. I absolutely did. But it was 1602. That was the book that I trust me, I can't tell you why.
No.
But I literally was like, I want to know about this guy.
Yeah. That's one of the fun things about like having like an out of continuity story or an out of like,
well, especially for him, because he fits
so well in either universe. Yeah.
I very much got to know him, even though it was out of universe.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yes and no.
Doesn't hurt that it was gaming too.
Did not hurt at all.
Ahmed Jihad can finally send a super chat. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for doing it.
And Abe Sapien, Elsa Bloodstone versus Predator. Also, Ivy has a mini starting in June. Good for her.
Yes. Now, I know the only reason I know about the Ivy one is because I think there's going to be more covers than book for that.
That would not surprise me.
I'm exaggerating. I've just seen so many covers for Ivy, and they like each one I see is like greater than the next one.
Totally.
So your favorite artist is probably doing a cover.
Probably. Moon Knight 32. That third story of Moon Knight and Spider-Man makes me kind of want to see Khonshu interact with the Spider God. Yeah, and I see Big Bird, Big Spider, and their avatars questioning what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Well, especially if they got Tom Taylor to write it, because Tom Taylor's from Australia, and in Australia there are big enough spiders that they make webs that catch birds in them. So Taylor would have a unique perspective on the idea, because you'd think that spiders are normally eaten by birds, but in Australia, spiders eat the bird.
I was really trying to figure out how you were going to get Anansi, who is an African god with an Australian, but we went a totally different way.
That's
you
right.
went science.
Yeah,
you went science on me, and I really didn't need to know that.
No, but it's
I didn't
horrible.
need to know that the
spiders can eat birds. They're that big and that horrible.
I think I knew that. I just didn't.
You didn't remember it. Max M just got my paycheck, and Tiffany's enthusiasm for Doctor Strange makes me want to start reading him too. Any recommendations for where I can start? I can't wait for the next Back Issues and Elseworlds Exchange. Thanks, man.
Well, listen, you're always going to hear me say The Oath, because it's a really good way to dip your toe in the water of getting to know him as a character, because I think Brian K. Vaughan does a really good job of encapsulating who he is.
Yep. The Oath is also like readily available typically.
You can usually pick it up. You can find it, like, as opposed to like Into Shambhala, which is very difficult to find and a little bit out there. You're not going to get a really good feel for Strange.
No, but it'd be fun.
It is fun.
And you'll get to say that you like one of your first Doctor Strange books was Into Shambhala. It's harder to get though, because it's out of print.
If you want to get into the more modern age of Doctor Strange, I always say to start with Jason Aaron's run, because he sets up the new rules for magic in the Marvel Universe, presumably. I say that because I don't know if any of the other people who are writing magic characters follow it.
I think
so you could go there, but I mean, you could also go back. You could pick up some of the Ditko era. You could pick up any of the stuff in between there.
From Stern or God, who wrote all those horrible ones from the 90s?
I don't know if it's Mackie, but no, I think Mackie's Ghost Rider.
Yeah, Mackie was Ghost Rider.
But I gotta tell you, I do love those 90s ones. It is so schlocky and fun. But there's a lot of really great moments in them too.
Yeah.
Don't be like turned off by like how ridiculous at times they'll be, but like you're gonna meet characters, like you'll get to know Rintra, and that he's not just like a background
character
like,
in a movie that
he's a significant character, and you'll meet Topaz, and you'll go on these crazy adventures with Doctor Strange. You'll get to know a little bit about his family as well.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Right. I read Blood Syndicate season 1 issue 1 from Jeff Thorne and Chris Cross and crew. I want to say Juan Castro, Will Quintana. I'm just reading this thing because it's just like that's where it breaks down the creative team. The reason why I read it is mainly because it's Milestone, and
this is new. Milestone.
This is new Milestone,
right.
But I read the old one, and so I'm like, well, let's see how it stacks up. And in preparation, I did look at the Dwayne McDuffie first issue and compared them. So different, night and day,
in a good way,
in its own way, and in a very strong way. There's something about just like 90s charm, like just this grit and this like this feeling, and I think Thorne gets it in a really strong way, because like you feel, because like when you watch interviews with Dwayne McDuffie and you read Dwayne McDuffie like Justice League or any of his, or you watch any of his episode of Justice League, you get like public Dwayne McDuffie, I think, was very affable. It's like just friendly, like, oh, hello. Like his avatar in the Louis Simonson run on Man of Steel is just like, I'm just a friendly guy who's just, but don't fuck with me. But there's this undercurrent of like, of I don't want to say anger. It's just like this, I think it's just like a don't fuck with me energy. And Milestone, like in its veins, has that, where it's like, we are people who don't get opportunities like this. And when we get them, we're not going to like fall in line and pretend to be part of, like, we're not just like, there's no hegemony here. We're not going to just make the thing you expect. But there's also one of the things that I admired so much about Milestone, and one of the things that like makes it so timeless, is that it is not trying to be anything other than good comics by people of color.
Right.
It's not being like, we're, like, it's not trying, there's no real like agenda,
right?
And not in the way that people derisively use that term now. It's just, we like here we, and I say we, I'm not even close, but like here they are, and they do this thing, and but they're great.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything about them is just, and they're doing something new. Like I remember seeing that first issue of Hardwire and just that background and just that image. And I've never forgotten it. And every time I have this, like, I'm like, oh, I don't really like Hardwire as a character, but I'm like, oh, look at Hardwire. Like, because it was something I'd never seen before, and I'd seen so much. And like it had that feeling of like the Image had, but in a very different way. Like Image was just like, here's the things you normally see, but rad as fuck.
Yeah.
Milestone is, here's something that you have not been allowed to see.
Right.
That we have been wanting to tell you forever. And Blood Syndicate could be that book. Or at the very least, it should be Milestone. The new Milestone should be that. I wonder if it will be, but you know, that ain't my row to hoe. I'm just here to read them.
Right.
That being said, what Blood Syndicate does so successfully is it gives you something new, something contemporary, and introduces you to these characters. The first Blood Syndicate introduces you like to the whole crew in this like, we don't give a fuck kind of like, here's the big splash page. And this one, it's much more modern, much more nuanced. It introduces you to the team and their backstory and what they're doing and who these characters are. And you have like you actually have like a through line of a protagonist who actually demonstrates what this story is supposed to be about, and these two conflicting ideologies. And I think that it's a very strong showing, though I don't think it's bombastic enough. Like I don't think it's big enough. I think it needs to like make a bigger, like it needs to make more noise.
Okay.
The other thing I have an issue with is the art's not great.
Okay.
Like, and again, I want it to be noisier. When Milestone comes out, when a new Milestone book comes out, it should make some noise. I should know about it before it comes out. Now, I did know about it before it came out. That's because I have a fucking comic book show. But like, you know, like there was when we were in a comic book store recently, there was a Blood Syndicate season 1 poster.
There was a poster.
Folded up and in a pile.
Yes.
Not up.
It wasn't up, but it was there.
And I'm just like, that should be the thing where it's like, you know what was up in that store like before things that horrible Avengers story, Heroes Reborn with Mephisto and crap. Like there was like a teaser poster that was up.
No, they should have put that up.
You know, like, and I don't mean at the same time, but like
no,
nobody knew anything about Heroes Reborn. That poster went up. And Milestone, like, if you know, they're putting out static Blood Syndicate, Hardware, Icon, and Rocket, like those, you should be like, I can't ignore what's happening in these books. And so that's like, I think it's a good standard comic book. I think it's a modern comic book that is giving you what you like, what you would expect from a modern comic book, but it's not noisy enough.
Okay.
And I'm not, you know, that's just me. You know, no significant criticism there.
Okay.
Ramon Moriera. By the way, whatever happened with Beta Ray Bill on back issues, and for that matter, whatever happened to Robot Jones? I don't know. I don't know about Robot Jones, but I will say, yeah, I just did. Well, you know, people stop watching like smaller shows. I have to make bigger decisions. You know, watch more.
By the way, it was Peter Gillis, and that's.
Oh, thank you.
Peter Gillis is the writer of that Doctor Strange run, which is why I never think of it, because I always want to make it Roy Thomas, but it's not. It's Peter Gillis.
Huh.
Yeah. He invented Rintra.
Yeah, no, Beta Ray Bill. Well, the other thing is it had to be 2 episodes. It has to be the Ballad of Beta Ray Bill and then Daniel Warren Johnson's Beta Ray Bill. It's not fair for me to do Beta Ray Bill with the guys and then have to offhandedly explain Beta Ray Bill without also showcasing Walt Simonson's art. And telling the story. I have like the old
I don't
trade.
know if you're getting 2 episodes of Beta Ray Bill.
That's my concern, is like I have to do 2 episodes, but I also can't afford to do 2 episodes
Can't you
of
do
Beta Ray Bill. Just a longer episode with both of them?
No, you'd have to really trim the first one down so you could do the second one.
Right.
You think
I guess
about
so.
that.
Yeah.
You think about that.
It's tough. What else we got?
Shang. Yeah, I read Shang-Chi.
You did.
I read Shang-Chi today. And I'm gonna tell you. Oh wait, it's over here. That's
yeah, you have a copy of it right in front
of you.
Oh wait,
it's literally sitting next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get it out. I read Shang-Chi number 12, The End of the Road, for this title.
Yeah, that's right. But not
the end of the road for Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi will return. I believe in Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. This is written by Jean Luen Yang with art
Mhm.
by Marcus To. And I believe that Marcus To is the one who's going to be returning.
Oh, that's great.
Which is great. I'm not gonna tell you what happens in this book, guys. It's the end of the
It's the end of the book.
It's the end of the book. It's the last of the thing. It's just know that like it was great.
Yay.
It's big freaking dope action sequences and just people fighting and fun dialogue and Shang overcoming things and just being a badass, being cool, being fun. We get some closure on his family. I may put together a status quo leading to the next run.
Yes.
And I will absolutely be picking that up because I absolutely loved this book. I love this creative team together. I loved the first creative team, and I can never remember their name. I think it was DK Ruan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
I think. Don't quote me. Brought very different. The first volume of this has very different look and feel to it. But I got to tell you, Marcus To, I've really fallen in love with their art. Just really fun, gorgeous. Works in terms of like modern storytelling.
Yeah,
and it just looks slick. It looks really slick, like just a high end book.
Good.
And
which is funny because like Marvel. Hey, wait a minute. Does Marvel believe in this book? Let's see.
What
is it being printed on crappy paper or not?
Oh, is that what you're trying to tell?
Yeah, I'm trying to tell if it's like no. I don't think it's cheap. No. That's weird.
I don't think it's cheap either.
Good.
Seriously though, this has been one of the most consistent titles I've read as of
late.
Yeah. Even with an artist change, but it was an artist change where it was like they're leaving the book and thank you so much for being here. On to the next story.
Yeah.
And they brought in the new artist. It was like they know what they're doing.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, book's basically always been on time. Just a really good story. The art is gorgeous. I really have enjoyed getting to know Young's take on Shang-Chi and his family and his place in the Marvel universe, and I can't wait to read more. Please write more. That's
so if you want it to succeed, you have to pre-order Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings. Is that what the book is called?
I think that's what it is.
So pre-order that.
I haven't heard anything about when it's releasing, but I'm hopefully July
okay,
July 2022. Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings #1, the Master of Kung Fu will return.
So if you like the book, pre-order it, and if you like any book, you should pre-order it and just contact your comic book store and say,
yeah, if you've got a pull list, like don't go crazy because then you're gonna get like
because then you're never gonna buy them.
You're gonna get scared when you get there. But there are certain books, especially books that you don't think may make it.
Yep.
Those are the books to definitely pre-order, or the ones that just like I definitely have to have a copy of.
Yeah,
this. But yeah, really loved it.
Lucas says, I just heard Neil Gaiman and Armando Lanucci will be writing Amazing Fantasy for Any Thoughts. Yeah, they're doing this Amazing Fantasy number 1000. Which I think it was canceled after like 16 issues, so I don't know what the hell they're talking about. But yeah, Spider-Man's hitting 60. Dear Marvel and DC, legacy numbering is really great, and centennials are fun to celebrate. Celebrate them when they're earned, and just do the math and figure out when they're going to come out, and then prepare your creative teams. Then don't make shit up. Don't say Amazing Fantasy 1000. Say Spider-Man 60th Anniversary Special #1.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, but they won't buy it then.
Yes, they will. It's #1.
I know. But yes, he's going to be on that. That was like, I was.
Yeah, like Neil Gaiman writing Spider-Man? Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Maybe
outside
he'll
of
write
like,
about it on C.
I hope not. Lee Allen, hey guys, just popping in to share some love. Also, does Hickman's X-Men run have a satisfactory conclusion? No.
Not yet.
No, and it never will.
Well, his Hickman's time on the book, no, because that ended with Inferno.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And Inferno was, guess that, listen, no, Inferno was technically satisfying because it was like hair pulling out like madness.
Yeah.
What came after it?
Yeah.
Kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
Big time. Dan Dragon, hey guys, will you cover Dino League on back issues when it's done? Probably. If they do, it's going to be Tiffany. Matthew Terlaga, have you guys checked out 8 Billion Genies? It's the most unique premise for a comic I've ever seen in a while, and the first issue hints at chaos to come.
Somewhere I had a post-it note. I had 2 other books I was going to read this week, but I forgot about Jurassic League. I just completely forgot it was coming out, so they both had to be bumped. It was 8 Billion Genies and Grimm. I wanted to check those both out,
that's
and
right.
It just didn't happen.
Yeah. Dan Dragon, also, do you guys see the possibility of doing a manga theme of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? We did a Junji Ito episode.
We did one, and I would like to do it again this year.
The problem is just manga studios don't want us doing that, and you can't show pages, so,
It's a little harder, but
It's
like I
harder.
would like to do that again this year. Do another Junji Ito one.
Yeah. Abe Sapien, have you guys picked up Grimm by Stephen Phillips and Flaviano? Awesome news boom
I think
series.
it's Stephanie Phillips.
Yeah.
But
yes, but we didn't talk about it.
Sorry.
Robert
Sorry,
H.
dinosaurs had to come first.
That's true. As a Transformers fan, I gotta say, Last Bot Standing #1 was really enjoyable and cool to see the series to do its proper Western. What characters do you think it could have fun genre shifts? I mean, any book, any character, you could do that. And they've done that before. There was an 1872 Secret Wars book where it was like Marvel cowboys.
They should do because we're talking about dinosaurs and they did Jurassic League, they should do like a Marvel dinosaurs one where everyone is turned into a dinosaur except like Sauron and Stegron are turned into people just permanently. I know Sauron can be a person, but like just all the time.
Yeah. They could do a stupid like
Stegron
Endless
would
Winter
just be
type
mad.
book. Yeah. Right. They could do a like an Endless Winter type like event called like Marvel, I don't know. Like Marvel Prehistoric or whatever.
Savage World.
Yeah, there you go. Savage World. And it's just he flips a switch and everybody becomes dinosaurs.
Yeah.
The Titan Zero, thoughts on Eternals ending with issue 12?
Well, it is technically ending, but don't forget Gillen's about to launch into a event.
Yeah.
So I get it. Don't let it go for now, and we'll see what happens. I didn't think we were going to get more Eternals, and we did. So, I'm the kind of person, I love an ongoing, but I also love a story that has an end, and I don't think Gillen's going to disappoint. So
yeah. Somebody just tried to correct me about something, and they're just completely wrong. Just weird. Eric Santee.
That was probably a while ago, though.
Yeah, I know. In Morrison's X-Men, they were critical of the ex-liberalism idea of Claremont's run, but it wasn't until the Krakoa era that the X-Titles abandoned that ideal. Do you think we'll ever go back to those ideals for the X-Men? I have no idea what that means, but I can tell you that the X-Men has been surprisingly apolitical, despite like how much criticism of the culture the X-Men have are capable of doing and have done in the past.
I would say it tends to vary from book to book. Like some of the writers maybe lean a little more one way or the other. But considering where their origins are from, like from back in the day, like what they were meant to stand for,
Matthew Terlaga, speaking of ruining Spider-Man, it was released over the weekend that in August they'll be bringing Gwen back to life again. They're officially out of ideas. I don't think that's true. I think it's a bait and switch. They just released a cover and like the description doesn't sound like that's the plan at all. But we'll see what happens. Again, I'm at a point where I don't really care about Spider-Man anymore in terms of main continuity. Like they can just turn him inside out or put him on the moon. I don't give a shit anymore. Like whatever, if I want to read a good Spider-Man book, hopefully it'll be a mini series or it'll be out of continuity or something. But like, bring back Gwen, bring back Uncle Ben, make him a fucking dinosaur. I don't care. Ray Farr just wanted to shout out Danielle is an amazing mod for the channel and Tiffany's Twitch. She is always so kind and funny. You guys are lucky to have her. Well, thank you, Ray.
Yes.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have her.
But listen, I'm not gonna take away from her, but I do want to point out, she's great mod, but for everything else that happens on this channel, every other painstaking hour of editing, prepping, maintenance on The Office, it's all this guy.
Well, you're very kind.
But it's true. Like every show that we put out, Sal's the one who has to edit it. He has to research everything that we're getting into. He's the one that's constantly doing shows with other people. So like there's a lot of hours that go into what Sal
I spent
does.
a lot of time, yeah. But thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Cowboy, I recently completed my doctoral degree. I listened to ComicPop Elseworlds to break the monotony and escape the real world. Thanks. Well, congratulations, Cowboy. That is a fantastic achievement.
Incredible.
We are thrilled for you, man. X-Men number 11.
Do they call you Dr. Cowboy?
Ooh,
now?
Dr. Cowboy. Paging Dr. Cowboy. X-Men number 11 from Jerry Duggan and Pepe Larraz, continuing the noble tradition of this book being friggin' fire. It's a gorgeous looking book. Fantastic work.
This book, man. This book is just
and it's just, it's what I expect. Although I will say at this point, like I did expect one thing and didn't get it. And I wasn't, it wasn't a disappointment. I was like, well, this will happen. And then it didn't.
I know.
Oh, Marte Gracia does the colors. He's one of the top colorists in the field today. I mention it only because it's it's a phenomenal looking book, and the colors are worth
everything
reiteration.
about this book is just, it is fire.
Yeah.
This book is
Yeah, the only thing that is good about the Hickman exit is Jerry Duggan's ascension to the X title.
freaking, and but this team, those, all of them. God.
Yeah, everybody's doing the best work. The X women go to face Cordyceps Jones
in Game World. Oh, and we get you know what we get in this book?
Polaris's new costume?
No.
Or dress?
No, we get Pepe Larraz drawing Mojo, a thing I never wanted to see.
That's right, yes. Despite a couple of commenters thinking that I look a little bit like Mojo myself, I think that
who said that?
No, people, no. People say that every once in a while.
What?
But
those people are just angry individuals with nothing but just decay and rot in their hearts.
Well, I when the first page opened and I was like, oh, Mojo. I was like, Tiffany's going to love this.
Yeah, you did not at all warn me about that one.
No, I didn't. I deliberately didn't because I was like, nah, because Tiffany hates looking at Mojo.
I hate Mojo.
But he's great. He's a great character. I'm sure people love to draw him because he's like so fun. Yeah, it's fantastic. Anyway, the issue's great. The X-Men take the fight to Cordyceps Jones, and Cordyceps Jones is not he's not a slam dunk.
No.
Like they thought he was going to be.
No.
Which was great. Also, big reveals abound. I don't want to give them away.
No.
But
no.
If you're wondering about X-Men, you should continue to read this book.
Yes.
I wonder if issue 12 is the end and then they're going to relaunch because Marvel is notorious for that.
I don't know because X-Force is coming back with number 28.
Oh, shit.
So, I don't know. I don't know.
Keep it going.
I got to tell you, the end of this, I literally was like, oh, of course.
Right. You didn't see it coming, but you were also like, duh.
How did I not see this coming?
Yeah.
This book is freaking gorgeous, though. It's just a beautiful looking book.
I know.
And there's a moment they're in the sewers and it's just there's so much texture and it's just a beautiful set of
I know.
I can't I've got no words.
Yeah. I cried during sex. So Sal, Ultimate Spider-Man or JSM continuation. Honestly, at this point, I would probably go Ultimate. I think that Bendis, without having a humbled Bendis coming back to Marvel and doing Ultimate Spider-Man, just for the 8 of us that are left, would be fine. Mm-hmm. I'd rather read that than JMS coming back and doing Spider-Man. Although I would love to see JMS come back and do Spider-Man because he'd be like, I don't even know what the hell any of this is. The Click Commander, I've been absolutely loving Tom Taylor's Nightwing run. Any chance of it showing up on the couch in the near future? Keep up the great content. Yes, we bought the first volume. It's redondo, man. You should definitely check it out. And yes, we'll talk about it. But I also was like, I can't talk about Nightwing until I do a Night in Bloodhaven. Ray Fard watched the Beta Ray Bill videos 9 million or billion times. Thank you very much. Listen, I'm trying, man. We'll see. We'll figure it out. Sean D. Howdy, folks. Hey, Sean. How's it going? Thanks for hanging out with us. He also mentions, I thought I'd say howdy, so howdy again. Well, thank you very much,
thank you. Double howdies.
Yeah, double howdies. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I'm Woody. But yeah, and then finally, Hulk versus Thor, Banner of War, Alpha 1.
See what they did there? Banner,
get it?
I get it.
So the concept here is that this is Donny Cates is writing Hulk and Thor. He wanted to do, and he's been teasing an idea where the Hulk and Thor fight.
It's kind of a classic combo.
It's solid classic combo. It gets people fired up.
If you're not going to do Wolverine and Hulk,
right?
Fine.
Which maybe probably is next. This concept of these alpha issues makes me crazy. I hate it, especially because the next issue is in a Thor book. But I do get it because it's like this gets people on the ground floor. This is the story. Mm-hmm. The book is Banner of War. That's the event, and we're doing alpha issues. A couple of years ago, we used to do these things called point issues, like 0.4 or point whatever the fuck. Terrible, stupid, and terrible. It's horrible. Alphas and omegas. I guess I can't.
This is rough because for a collector, it's going to be alpha, but it's going to remain alpha, right? Because
yes,
it's part 1.
Yeah, this will be alpha. And then you'll read, Thor 27 or whatever, and then Hulk whatever, and then Omega, or whatever. What Omega has to come out as the last issue.
So they'll go through it.
Yeah, yeah. It's written by Donny Cates with art by Martin Kokolo. Yeah. So the cover is friggin' done by Brad Anderson.
Okay.
And Gary Frank. It's Gary Frank art, Brad Anderson colors.
Wow.
I've seen more of this of the Gary Frank Thor versus Hulk art, and I'm like, that's awesome. This cover is friggin' dope.
Frank used to draw the Hulk, right? We talked about that last time.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not the interiors.
Okay.
And the interiors are fine.
Okay.
And that's the real tragedy of this, is that like it's not bad. That's all I can say. Like, it is not bad. But I think that this is a thing that's supposed to sell a lot of friggin' books. Like,
Right.
I think this is supposed to be like a sales thing.
Like a mic drop.
Yeah, like, come on. It's Thor 25, I'm sorry. But like, I don't know. It wasn't like I read it and I was like, this is fun. You know, I enjoyed it. But like, even with the art on the Hulk book, you know, the invisible artist, I was like,
Stegman? Oh, Otley?
Otley. Yeah, with Otley doing the Hulk book, like at least it looked like an Otley book.
Right.
Like,
I know, I thought Stegman was doing it.
I don't know. Stegman does work with
I think
Cates
he did
a lot.
covers.
He did a lot of covers, yeah.
Yeah.
But Stegman also, he does a lot of work with Donny Cates.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just kind of like, it has no. I don't think it has an identity. It's just kind of like, here it is.
Yeah.
Here's the things you asked for, I guess. Not complaining. I just, you know, it's rough when you have like Gary Frank cover art.
Okay.
But
so they're you know what they're doing with this?
Mhm.
The Alpha thing, we've already done that.
Yeah.
It's like the Darkhold.
Right.
Darkhold Alpha and Darkhold Omega.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, you're right. They're gonna do that. And
Yeah.
then they made it other books.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's
So you
the
have
thing
it.
now.
But yeah, I the story is fun, but albeit loose. You know, like, I get why Hulk would fight Thor, but Thor's motivation for fighting Hulk is he needs someone to hit, and he hears that Hulk is going on a rampage. And I think the idea was that like during his previous rampage, like 17 people died. I don't remember that. Like, I don't remember that happening. Like, it's a good justification for it. I'm just kind of like, but do I like? Could you cite the issue, please, where that happens? Because I'd like to see if that's true, or know what side I'm supposed to be on when that happens. But yeah, it's a slugfest, and it does a couple of things. There's like a weird moment where they get dropped off in the Adventure Time universe.
What?
I mean, it's like it's whatever,
Oh, okay.
but like it is like it's straight up that. But you know, and then they get sent to like the movie equivalent of Sakaar, but it's like a video game world where like they're in an arena and, you know, they got like stats and stuff. I don't know. It's very fun, and the fight is cool. And there's a moment where Thor's just done fighting Hulk, and he just puts Mjolnir on top of him when he knocked him down. It's like there. Hulk, I think Hulk is more sympathetic in this, but you know, but there's a moment where you know, Banner plugs in and he's like, I want to fight Thor. Like, I want to feel it. I want to be it. So he mentally plugs into like the starship that is the Hulk's body. So like, it's not that Hulk is taking over and punching Thor. It's that
that
Banner's taking over and fighting Thor. That's the Banner of War, I guess. It's neat. You know, neat ideas. And is at each moment you're like, oh, okay, all right. You know, you're not really thinking about the last thing that happened because you're focused on the next thing that's happening.
It is a little strange because I mean, like, I feel I'm not a Hulk reader, so I'm gonna preface that.
Yes.
So don't at me, folks, because I don't care.
Yeah.
But I feel like Hulk has had moments like this in history where he's just a brainless, mindless smashing machine.
Right.
Now,
he's not in this.
In this, it's not necessarily like that, but like that it's really about the fight.
Yes.
Right? But there have been plenty of stories too where there's something deeper with Hulk, and like
and there is like there's an entity within his head that's taking the form of Betty, and she's like talking to him, and there's a mystery afoot in that. Also, they both have Donny Cates conventions happening in their respective books, and they both come to the fore in this. Like, Odin died, and his essence went into Mjolnir. So you got a crackled Mjolnir, like in the movie, like in the toy you can buy at Target.
Right.
But Thor has a crackled Mjolnir, and Odin's inside of it. Like, his essence is there, talking to him. So, like, Thor will never be rid of his father, and he's constantly criticizing him and giving him a hard time. Which, like, fathers and sons, Donny Cates, yep.
That's so him.
I'll never stop having my father yelling in my head about, like, what I'm doing wrong. Which, you know what? I'm sure I will have the same problem. But Banner has... Like, Hulk has Banner in his head, and Betty's there, and she's talking to him.
Right.
And at one point during the fight, like, both of them are yelling at their, like, ghosts in their head. And then both of them look at each other and go, who are you talking to? And then they both fight anyway. But the ending of this issue is kind of cool. I was like, wow, that's a neat idea. Basically, Odin just jumps out of Mjolnir and goes into Banner. And he's like, so he's in the starship. So Odin's in the starship. Like, all right, let's talk.
Okay. So he's going to talk to Banner instead of Betty? Because I think it would be more.
Well, Betty's going to show up. Like, Betty's on the bridge.
Well, because I'd rather have that happen. You're not 100% what the Betty entity is.
Exactly.
To have like him be like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's cool. The thing is, I am not a huge Thor or Hulk fan. So I'm not like incensed by what's happening. I'm just kind of like here for the ride, which I think is what the book is trying to do. Anyway.
I guess what it is like a lot of people came off of Immortal Hulk, which seems to have a lot of depth.
It's not that. Yeah.
Right. And so like, I'm sure if like, that's maybe for some people, they have always been Hulk fans and they really gravitated towards that story. Or maybe some people discovered Hulk through that story to then have this. I'm sure it's like a bit of a shock.
Right.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. I get the criticism. I don't get the criticism where it carries over into people's personal lives or attacking them personally, which we're a better community here, ladies and gentlemen. I know this, so we're not going to do that. Like, we don't go like, so-and-so sucks, and we're going to go to Twitter and give him a hard time. It's more like, you have a problem, you talk to your fellow compatriots about it, and you vote with your wallets. That's the best way.
Yep.
You could get a GoFundMe or a petition or or a posse. At the end of the day, what will determine the changing directions of your books is whether it sells well or not.
Absolutely.
Joshua Link, X-Men was such a blast. No one draws a cooler Cyclops than Laraz, and Duggan writes him so well. Agreed.
It's so good. There was a moment in that issue where Rogue, it's like early on in the issue, Rogue says something as they enter the casino.
Yes.
And like, I heard her voice in the show. Like, I just heard it.
Yeah.
Without like him even like, he didn't misspell anything or it was just the way he put the words together in a sentence. And I made my brain immediately click to that.
Yes.
God, that book was so good.
I know.
Except for the Mojo part. That I could have 100% done with a lot less of that.
But I did like I did like the Banner War issue, by the way.
Okay.
So I think if you're interested, check it out.
Okay.
So let's recommend some comics that are coming out this week that we think you should buy.
Yeah.
Listen. It's on issue 3. Ladies and gentlemen, go out. If you liked Batman Superman World's Finest from Mark Waid and Dan Mora, pre-order the book.
Yes.
Please. Because I think sales are in the toilet for this book. So if you want to see it, survive, you gotta order it. You gotta tell your comic shop you want it. You gotta pre-order the book. It's the only way we're gonna survive. That's the only way we're gonna save this book. But it's great, and you should read it. And it's just a delight. I think it's just because it's not in continuity, or it's not in the present. It's in the past. But I think that's why people don't think it matters.
Yeah.
The Night number 5 is coming out.
Nice.
Buy that as well.
That's right. You could have gotten that compendium and only be like one issue behind.
Exactly. By the way, if you liked Banner of War, Thor 25 comes out in 2 days. You could just see the next story.
Right.
And it's Odin versus Betty or Banner. I don't know. What else we got?
So I feel like they messed up here. I feel like Marvel messed up in terms of their
how many books are coming out?
Yeah, like guys, this is a rough week. Like coming up in terms of your wallet. And this is a week where like I'm going to tell you like some things that I'm looking forward to, but I still think like always make decisions based on what works for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like maybe next week will be a lighter week, or so then you can come back and grab some other books. But like there's just a lot, and there's a lot, especially if you're reading X-Men.
Yeah.
I am pretty disappointed with how much they're trying to jam in 1 week. I think it's irresponsible.
Yeah.
And I think it puts a lot of fans in an uncomfortable position. And I don't think that that's right.
No. And I honestly, like, just from my own perspective, I feel that it's not deliberate. It is just because no one's thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm going to guess maybe there were a couple delays here or there.
Probably.
Maybe some things pushed off.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan. So like, for example, Wolverine 21 is coming out. New Mutants number 25 is coming out. X-Force number 28 is coming out. Immortal X-Men number 2 is coming out. X-Men Red number 2 is coming out, right? So like you've got 5 X titles this week.
Between $4 and $6.
Between $4 and $6. And if you want, I think it's 4 and 5.
Okay.
$4 and $5. And if you're also going to be reading the Kieran Gillen event that's coming up, you might want to pick up Eternals number 12.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think it's just too much in 1 week when we had 2 lighter weeks these past weeks. And I think they just should have, again, it could be delays. I don't know, but like scheduling should have been addressed.
And these people care about numbers and optics. So maybe what you should do is like be the #1 book of the week every week.
And I'm sorry, we're not done. I missed 2 more. So you had how many before?
5.
So we also have Wolverine Patch, number
6.
2, and Excellent number 3.
Right.
So there's 7 X titles coming out this week.
Yeah.
That's
$35.
That's a lot
for just X-Men.
Yeah. Well, let's say it was most of them are $4. Most of them are $4.
All right.
So
$28.
It's still a lot. You're going to spend about
not including tax.
Yes.
But
like it's a lot, guys. So like I say like.
What are your top picks? What are your not miss X-Men books?
All right. So if I had to, because I'm going to end up trying to buy them all.
Well, I write them all off, so we can just get them. But
yeah. So like I'm definitely going to be grabbing Wolverine. I am definitely interested in New Mutants. I kind of want to grab X-Force.
You are reading X-Men Red.
I was. So maybe, but I also read Immortal X-Men. Here's where, unfortunately, if I didn't have the budget for it, I would have to drop Excellent this week.
Right.
I wouldn't pick up Wolverine Patch.
Yeah.
Like there would definitely be some books that I would end up having to drop there.
And Excellent is always going to be on the chopping block.
And I bet I would end up dropping Wolverine as well. Even though I really like the Wolverine story, and I think Kubert's still on
matter.
I'm sure. Listen, I think it's a nice story, or like I like the story because it's about Deadpool.
Yeah.
So like. That's fun.
Yeah,
you got
Adam Kubert.
Adam Kubert, sorry, on this. But I would probably drop that.
Right. Thankfully, we're not going to. So
no, but I just think it's too much. So,
yeah.
But I'm also going to pick up Eternals number 12.
That's the end.
Yes.
What a shame.
Well, it's the end for now. We're leading into the event, and we'll see what comes.
Yeah.
What comes? It's Judgment Day, guys. I'm really excited for this. The Celestial's going to wreck everybody.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll wreck that stupid house they live in. Nightwing number 92 is coming out. You should definitely read that. I am reading Venom Lethal Protector from Michelini. We'll see if this is it or not.
What's Shadow Warzone?
So Shadow War is the Josh Williamson Batman event that's going to lead directly into the Dark Crisis. So if you want to know what's happening with Deathstroke and what he's up to, and I know he's a major player in the Dark Crisis, you might want to read Shadow War. The problem is I have no idea. I can't make heads or tails of how this friggin' event is numbered, because I read Shadow War Alpha, Shadow War Alpha Zone, Red Zone. I don't know what the hell's happening, but someone else who's keeping track of this stuff will be able to help you read Shadow War. But it is a status quo changing event that is within the Bat family that will set up the Dark Crisis.
Look at this team.
Yeah.
Savage Avengers is coming out, number 1.
That's right.
And Conan's on the front of it.
That book was solicited months ago.
Yeah, written by David Pepose.
Yep.
Art by Carlos Magno.
Yes, David Pepose, a Ringo Award-winning author and friend of the show.
So yeah,
congratulations, David, and I hope it didn't get derailed.
I'm gonna pick this up. Look at this team.
I know.
I think Daredevil Elektra's on here.
Yeah, Daredevil Elektra, Weapon H,
Deathlock,
Anti-Venom, Conan.
Yeah,
it is going to be a ridiculous lineup, and I understand.
I don't think it is, but it looks like Cloak.
It could be. Yeah, I think it is Cloak.
I don't know. It's hard to tell from this tiny image I'm looking at.
Yeah, but David is very excited about this book, and if you are looking for something different, you should read that.
Additionally, I want to shout out Rain number 5. I kind of like this book. It's that Joe Hill adapted novella.
Right.
Kind of digging it.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see, because I've got so much X-Men to read now.
No, it's true.
This is too much X-Men. You see who's on the cover of Excellent?
I know.
That would be a hard pill for me to swallow.
Yeah.
It's going to be a busy week for everybody. Like I said, just make good choices. Make the choices that make you feel comfortable. Not like, don't have that FOMO. All right. Don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
Well, that's the thing is, with the mainstream books, you will be able to get those books.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to get them at a discount later on. So, pick and choose.
Yeah.
The essentials, then the non-essentials. Just make a list for yourself.
Yep.
But we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. Listen, don't forget to follow us on twitch.tv/ComicPop. Follow here at youtube.com/ComicPop Returns. And of course, go to youtube.com/ComicPop to watch Back Issues, which comes out on Wednesday, where a Turtles book will be making its debut on the show. Of course, you'll also be able to catch shorts over there, and follow us there for more. That's it. Right?
Yeah, that's it. I feel like, I haven't seen in a while. It's like too many of those Black Label books that I was reading.
Oh shit, is Barnstormers coming?
because I feel like that's gonna
Yay!
hit me
I'm also
hard.
going to pick up the Comixology original Barnstormers from Scott Snyder and Tula Lotay, which is
her art is gorgeous.
This book. Okay, so Barnstormers is the one book when Scott was talking about all of his books that I was like, that one. And I've read all of those books. And I can tell you that I did not get access to Barnstormers, and it's the one I'm the most excited about.
Look at I love Tula's art
I know.
so much. Like, I know her. Like,
we
friends.
see her at Comic-Con,
We do.
and every time you're just like, there she is.
Like,
and there's her work. There's her work.
She's over there. Her work's all beautiful. She's all beautiful. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
Let's go someplace else.
But yeah, Barnstormers, man, I'm gonna check that out. That's a Comixology original, by the way. But if you don't subscribe to Comixology, you can pick it up in physical at Dark Horse at your local comic book store in like a year when it comes out.
Well, it's on there already. Maybe
no, it's just maybe it's coming out. I don't know.
It is coming out already.
No, because it hasn't come out in digital yet.
It says format comic. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. But we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. And we'll see you guys next time with an all new episode. I am Sal.
And I am Tiffany.
So long, everybody.
Bye.